In this video, we are going to play with a little exercise. This exercise is going to allow us to display 4 images in a single pane, but we are going to make sure that we display them, in a checkerboard type of position. So that's going to give us an opportunity to play with, a grid pane first, which is what's going to allow us to set our layout, but it's going to also obviously give us an opportunity to play with the image view object and load images from GIF files that we have actually downloaded on the disk here. So the GIF file that I'm going to be using as ones from the textbook that represent actually flags. So let's get started as we usually do with those JavaFX application. So I'm going to call my application my class flags, okay, and I'm going to extend the application class as with any JavaFX application. Then I know that I need two things, right? I need a public, I may need a public static void main, and this is mostly if your IDE is not really prepared to launch a JavaFX application for you. So all it does, it's boilerplate code, okay? So we always use the same. I could save that as a template and reuse it, so that would spare me having to retype every time. So all it does is launch the JavaFX application with the arguments that were passed as a command line, okay? Another thing that is boilerplate code is I need to also override the start method from the class application. So it takes always a parameter of type of class stage, okay? So generally in the textbook example, they call this a primary stage. I'm going to call it ST for short, okay? But that's the same thing, the type of the parameter is the same. I'm going to add a little annotation here that means I am overriding this method. It's not mandatory from the compiler perspective, but it's mandatory from the advice I give you in this course. So I want you to put that override statement. It allows pretty much to catch easy bugs that would happen otherwise. Okay, so let's see if we have any syntax error to start off with. Okay, let's get rid of that. Well, we need to save with an appropriate name. There we go. Flags it is. Okay, we have a few syntax error here. So what do we have? Application, of course. We are missing our import statement. So that's another part that is pretty boilerplate. So javafx.application.application. Okay. What else do we need here as a stage? Of course, import javafx. And I'm going to go through all of the basic boilerplate things that we need. Okay, so the stage, and then javafx.scene. What do we need here? We need scene, and then we're going to need image layout and stuff like that, image view, sorry, and the grid layout. But for now we haven't yet mentioned them, so let's keep tracking down the one that we're missing right now. Okay, we're not missing anything anymore, so this is at least compiling. It's not going to do much, okay, but at least it's it's compiling, it's functional. So I just clicked run here just to get it to display an empty window, and it's taking forever. So it's taking forever actually because we do not have the stage set, so that's okay, that's normal. We're going to interrupt this, and we are going to actually do the very minimum we can get away with, which is creating actually showing our primary stages. So this is here what we need. Okay, st.show is going to be the last step actually in our start method. For now we're going to do things a little differently in the following modules, but for now this is pretty much what we do. And generally before to show we need to set the scene. Okay, so I'm going to call set scene, and this tells me that I need actually a scene object. So I haven't created that yet, so I'm going to go ahead and say I need a scene named scene, and I'm going to put inside of it, oops, not this, I'm going to put inside of it a pane. So I'm building my thing backward, right? I'm going through the what is how to say strictly necessary. I need a stage. Okay, the stage is passed to me, so that's fine. I need to show it. To show something meaningful, I need to have a scene, so I need to show the scene, which means I need to create the scene. To show a scene, I need to have something in it, so I'm going to add a pane here, and I'm building, you know, based on what I absolutely need and backtracking to what I want actually to show. So in our example, I'm going to use a GridPane as a pane, okay? So new GridPane. There we go. And now I'm going to be able to work here, where I put the comment, on actually populating that pane with the different flags that I want. Okay? So I need to load those flags. I need to load those GIF images into objects, and then I have to add those objects to my pane. Okay, so let's build it again backward. What I want to do is pane.add, okay, and then let's say that I have an image view here that I haven't declared yet, so an image view 1. And you know how the GridPane works from the reading assignment, okay? The GridPane is going to be pretty much like a board, like a checkerboard, you know, on your inside your pane. So you can use indexes to say, I want to put this element, this image, for example, in that cell in the pane, okay, in the GridPane. So we start at coordinate 0, 0. And since we are going to use a GridPane with 4 elements, you know, we can go ahead and we can say, okay, I'm going to paste that code 4 times. Let me re-indent real quick. There we go. And my indexes are obviously going to change. Okay, so 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. Okay, and I'm going to place in that pane 4 different objects. So I haven't defined yet those variables img1, img2, img3, img4. Okay, that's what I'm going to do next. So I put my images here in the pane. So I create the pane, I put my image in the pane, I put the pane in the scene, I set the scene on the stage, I show the stage. Okay, it's always the same flow for the exercise that we're going to do in this module. So now, how am I going to create those images? So I'm going to create an image view, img1, okay, and I'm going to do the same for img2, img3, img4. So I'm going to create the object here, and I'm going to specify the name of the GIF file that I want to load. So right now I'm executing this, I'm saving this flags.java in a specific folder on my laptop, okay? That means that I have already dropped the 4 GIFs that I downloaded from the textbook website in that same folder, okay? So I don't need to specify a path. I'm going to run to execute flags.java from that folder, and it's going to find the GIFs right there in that folder. So I have 4 GIFs right now. The first one is a flag of the UK. So I'm going to do some a little bit of cut and paste oriented programming here again, because I have 4 times the same job to do on 4 different images. So image 2, image 3, image 4, and I'm going to change the name. So this is a flag for Canada. This is a flag for China. This is a flag for the US. All right. So let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 images. I add them. What else am I missing here? I create my scene, but I never set a title, okay, for the scene. So it's not critical, of course, but this is still part of what we do every time. So I'm going to call this flags, the name of my application. Okay, I'm going to use that as title, and then we should be to the point where we can certainly compile to check for little typos, and we still have some. Well, actually, we don't have really typos. We have import missing because we have been using new things, right? So what am I missing here? I'm missing my GridPane. So javafx dot scene dot layout dot GridPane. Okay, so that's going to take care of that. I'm going to be missing, obviously, my image view as well. So I'm going to take care of that as well right now. Java fx.scene.image view. Okay, so the textbook is going to tell you obviously what kind of imports you need for all of those things. Okay, but if you ever miss those imports, you don't remember them, etc., it's very easy to go to the Java 8 SDK, you know, and look at the documentation of, for example, the class ImageView, and it's going to tell you right on top there what package ImageView belongs to. So that's going to tell you what import statement you need to use. Okay. Let's compile to see if something else is missing. One more. Cannot find symbol GridPane. Oh, this is a typo actually. This is a typo because the P is lowercase. So there we go. That was not the import fault for this one. Well, let's see what we get when we run this. It's not going to be necessarily what we want, okay, but actually it's pretty close, okay. It's pretty close. You see that the flags are not necessarily perfectly aligned, meaning that the image have different size and stuff like that. And one of the things that we do not do in this first module on JavaFX, we do not try to resize automatically things. Actually, we have one exercise on that we're going to go over, but most of the exercise do not try to resize the panes that we are using with actually the size of the surrounding window. So right now we are really close actually to what we wanted to achieve. I'm going to just show you a few more options that you can use here for your GridPane. Okay, so there are several things that you can set in your GridPane. Okay, for example, you can set the alignment. So the alignment is going to use a specific syntax. Okay, pos.center. So we refer to a class named pos, position, and we use an enumerate that is defined in that class, which is center, all uppercase. Okay, so it's a static way to pass a constant. Okay, we refer to a class like when you do math.py, for example. This is the same, same ID. Okay, except that here it's an enumerate. So we need to import that as well, and that's going to allow us to control actually the alignment inside of our GridPane. So this one is found in geometry.pos. So JavaFX geometry.pos. Other things that we can do, we can set the edge gap. Okay, so the distance, the horizontal distance between the cells of our GridPane, and we can, same way, okay, we can set the V gap, the vertical gap. So here I'm using values of 5 pixels. Okay, let's give it a run here in compilation. Okay, no typo. Let's run it. Okay, so that we have actually increased here. It doesn't really show us anything tremendous, okay, but we have increased here the distance between the cells, so delineate them very well, and we have forced the GridPane to align itself in a centered manner. So at the very least, when we resize our window, you can see that now we are keeping the GridPane in the middle of it automatically. Okay, so the deal with JavaFX and any actually GUI, framework, graphic user interface framework, is that you have always a ton of options. So your best friend, your best way to navigate this is to have a browser window opened on actually the documentation, the Oracle website, the official Java documentation of Java. In this case, we're using Java 8 JDK, and be able to look up those classes as you need. And the documentation is going to show you obviously the list of methods, the list of public fields, etc. that you can use in the class. It's going to show you which package the class comes from. Okay, so it would be foolish to attempt to memorize all of that. The idea here is that you need to be able to find this information very effectively by looking it up simply. Okay, so that's it for this little exercise.